Welcome to our interview today with Bob Molhoek. Now, Bob is a marketing executive for Delta Dental and Game On Mouthguards. And we're going to talk today why a long-form direct-to-consumer campaign was the perfect vehicle for the CustMbite snoring relief system. Tell me a little bit about your background, Bob. Tell me about your background in marketing and brands that you've worked with, and lay out the landscape, if you will, on your experience and your expertise.
Yeah, my career, really, I've either been at marketing agencies, advertising agencies, or running startups or brands. And so I kind of grew up at Fallon McGilligan in the 90s in the heyday of the 30-second commercial.
Yeah.
Had a chance to work on incredible brands like Lee Jeans and Sports Illustrated, Rolling Stone Magazine, BMW. Had a chance to work in the Nike subsidiary group and a Target business. As you know, the great part about advertising is you get to work on a lot of different business and industries.
Yeah.
And then from a startup standpoint, I was the CEO of a company called Bite Tech, which offered oral appliances, performance enhancing mouth guards and mouthpieces, which ultimately led to my current role where I'm now CMO across a portfolio of brands owned by Delta Dental of Kentucky.
Do you look at this position you're doing now, does it have a startup mentality? Does it have an entrepreneur mentality? Talk about that and why that's important for a brand like Delta Dental.
Absolutely. And Delta Dental, as you can imagine, a very conservative insurance company.
Yep.
And so they actually created a wholly owned for-profit subsidiary that acquired intellectual property around, really around, any product in the mouth. So we have a line of dental products under the CustMbite brand. We have an athletic mouth guard under the Game On mouthguard brand, and then a performance mouthpiece for CrossFitters and endurance athletes under the Airwave brand. And so even though we have, our board of directors is, overlaps with this insurance company, we operate the businesses like a startup. So every dollar we spend is very measured. We're looking at return on ad spend in every channel from a retail standpoint to an ad spend, everywhere trying to optimize the business to, achieve the profitable growth that any small entrepreneurial business is looking for.
When you look at the big scope of this I'm just going to call it in-mouth brand. You look at DRTV, digital, Amazon, is that all within the goal to build, to have that ROI, if you will, to build the brand, build the goal, and then to get it to a big retail play? Is that the overall strategy here?
We actually start by asking ourselves a question that I think a lot of brands miss. What's the role of each of these products going to play in the ultimate consumer's life?
Mm-hmm.
And so our athletic mouth guard, we think athletic mouth guards are really important and very cool.
Mm-hmm.
If you the average 17-year-old high school athlete, unless it's a lip guard and more of a fashion statement in football, you could give a hockey player $2,000 to go outfit himself or herself head to toe for gear, and they'd buy skates, and then they'd buy a stick, and then gloves and a helmet, and they might walk out and forget about a mouth guard altogether. They don't wear it because they want to, they wear it because they have to play.
Mm-hmm.
So the role of that product isn't very important necessarily to a lot of athletes. So we have to understand that when we say, what channels are we going to invest in? How are we going to market that product? Who's the real consumer? In that case, the person who uses the product is a high school athlete.
Right.
And he or she isn't buying it themselves. It's mom and dad. So
right.
That's the balance of how we appeal. And in our dental products, we have products like whitening solutions that are more fashion driven or emotionally driven to people to want to look good and feel good. And then we have problem solution products like night guards and snoring systems. And so the way that we think about retail, it would be great to be able to sell into Target or Walmart with a dental night guard or a snoring system. But it's really hard. Some of those products require a level of education that's really challenging at retail, which is why things like DRTV for a snoring product, where you have to explain, and how do you capture, you're never going to be able to educate every CVS or Target employee how to explain.
Good luck, right?
It would be great if our products had mass distribution, but we have some brands, if a big retailer offered us, we'd say no, because without that education, it's going to collect dust and nobody wins.
And you're going to get it back.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll get it back.
So when you think about the snoring category and we're working together on with CustMbite, tell me why, and you just kind of said it, but tell me why DRTV is an important part of the overall strategy for the company.
Yeah. So a category like snoring for us is a problem solution. The challenge that we face is, if you were to ask people, hey, name 5 shoe brands, the average consumer could name 20. You said name 5 snoring solutions. I kind of saw this, or I kind of saw that. And I kind of remember that thing on the nose, and, or my dentist told me about something. And so it's a category with very little brand awareness. So what happens is consumers don't go, hey, my spouse, or I'm snoring, or my doctor said I'm snoring, I need a solution. They're going to go to Google and go, I need the best snoring system.
Right.
And so a lot of our initial marketing was built around how do we make sure we show up when people are looking for us.
Mm-hmm.
But you can only grow the business so much. So DRTV fit for us perfectly because a lot of the media inventory happens to be at off hours.
Yep.
When somebody might be up listening to somebody snoring, or down watching TV because
right.
their spouse is up in the bedroom snoring and they can't sleep and they're frustrated. And so there was a media component that was very relevant. And
right.
It's also again, with a product like ours that is more complicated, it needs to be explained the value equation is real if people understand it. And so we saw DRTV as a great platform to tell that story.
Right. And to feed off of that is that there's a reason to believe why the product does with the promise that we put out there. And you have a unique technology called Tori. And that is a real reason to believe why it does something better and different than others. And if you just threw the word Tori out there and tried to do that in 30 seconds, I mean, from your background in 30 seconds to advertise, how would that go?
Impossible.
Right.
It would be, we like to say we'd be flushing money down the ad hole.
Right. You wouldn't have pockets deep enough, right?
Right. Exactly. And so, back to your retail question,
Mm-hmm.
This is a product I would love to see this at retail, but we know there's no other medium that's going to allow us to educate either consumers or retailers, or whether that's other TV retail venues,
Mm-hmm.
or mortar retailers. It's going to require the education to be able to eventually get there.
Right. I can honestly see, Bob, we get to that point where we've educated the consumer enough, where we're at a media efficiency ratio that makes sense from a financial standpoint to continue to reinvest, to build it out. I mean, I could, just like Harry's has their little thing at Target, I could see CustMbite having that shelf space that you guys own for different needs for a consumer.
Absolutely. And
because it's a white space out there right now, right? There's nobody there.
Yeah, there's no real brand that carries across all of the dental related problems, from a patented sleep guard, night guard for grinding, to a snoring system, to lightning, to oral appliance cleaners. We do have a comprehensive line, and I don't think there's another media channel we could use. Obviously, we want, the direct response is going to drive sales.
Mm-hmm.
It's also doing an unbelievable job of building brand awareness. We've already seen a lift on Amazon. We're seeing lift another channel across that portfolio. Exactly, to your point of, we absolutely should have that little planogram space at retail.
It's been very early in the process, very little money spent, but you're feeling it in other channels already that had you not done that, you wouldn't be feeling it. Is that pretty confident to say that?
Absolutely. And we, our hope is, when this catches fires, our ability, there's a whole host of other related products we could introduce under this brand.
Right.
We'll draft off the snoring system and the CustMbite brand that will be created through that infomercial.
When you think about DRTV, there's a problem to be solved, which is like, when you did some research, what is it about the aspects of DRTV that really fed into, like, this could be an option for us? Because I believe this is going to get into short form. It's going to get into YouTube. It's going to get into all these other things. We've got to figure this first thing out. What clicked for you? Was it the whole process of problem solution? There's a unique value proposition. It gets validated. Tell me about all that works for you.
Yeah, and there were actually a handful of factors that led us to it, and ultimately why we pursued it. And so some of them are what you said. We knew we had a product that is a problem solution product that needed explanation. So a long form format was the perfect venue to do that. The second was really thinking about the importance of content. And every brand needs it. It is the currency that you're going to use across any channel. And so understanding that, yes, we've initially produced this long form infomercial, but exactly what you said, an unbelievable collection of assets that we needed to create anyway.
Correct.
So yes, we've spent more in the production of this longer form piece and those pieces, but we would have spent some percent of that anyway, and probably not gotten as good of assets, certainly wouldn't have been able to explain it. I even think, after the fact, there was a ton of value with script to screen. You guys articulated a very compelling and powerful way to talk about the product in a way that we hadn't even thought of. So that wasn't even part of the decision-making factor, but that was an added benefit. And then, the third is what we've already talked about, that we've got a collection of brands where we haven't historically done a lot of what I would call outbound marketing. How do we find people with this problem versus how do we show up for people looking to solve the problem? And of course, as we are very metric driven, you get immediate feedback. You know what's working and what's not working. And we have a philosophy where we're going to put a plan together and test things. And if it works, we just pour more gas on the fire. And if it doesn't, we just modify the plan and keep modifying until it works. And and so we have a broad palette to play with within the framework of this infomercial to find success. And again, there's selling the product directly, and then there's a host of other benefits, that we're seeing in other channels with other products getting sales lift just from the halo it's creating. And then in the long term, again, when it's successful, the banner or the umbrella that creates for us to launch other products.
If you have a product or service that has a problem to be addressed and solved, you need to utilize it in all channels to try to, make every channel lift. What would you say for people who have those types of businesses, why you would consider something like DRTV and digital and layering all those other channels on top of it?
Yeah, I guess my short message to a CEO or CMO is you have to have the most compelling message that's going to work in 3 to 5 seconds. And if you get that person hooked, you need to have a compelling story to get them over the goal line.
Yep.
And so that combination is critical. And the long format and why we chose script to screen is we had the confidence you could do that for us. And as I mentioned, it was, you not only took our brief, we thought we had a really good story. And again, you came at it in a way that, the most creative agencies I either worked at or have worked with also articulated a new way to think about it, which we've deployed across the rest of the brand story.
Awesome. Well, I believe CustMbite will be a brand search, if you will, eventually. When you say there's no one owns it's a vast wasteland out there, but I truly believe CustMbite will be that top of mind brand, and you don't have to spend $500 million in 30-second ads and Super Bowl ads to make that happen, right? Because as you said, that's a flush.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of fun. Even when we were producing it, the testimonials we gathered, what percent of those people told us they were in their friend groups talking about it and finding this and talking about this, that we know this product, it's, there's a social advocacy part that we have a product that's very unique and we know it works. And so, we just need the most efficient media and story to get that snowball rolling for us.
It's interesting. You brought up two things that I talk about all the time. First of all is we live in a review economy. End of story, right? That's how we make decisions. Believe it or not, people are making huge decisions based on someone they don't even know and their experience. So that, to your point about the testimonial and the reviews, when you talk about video, compelling video being the driver, right? There's a reason why Google buys YouTube, because now they own the search and the video. They just bought their own network television station is what they did. And now they can drive what they want.
So Amazon just shut down a handful of Chinese companies that did $1 billion of revenue on Amazon. And you'll read stories that, I recently, this is very critical to our business as we launch products there. I think I read a stat that up to 61% of the reviews on Amazon are fake. Now, that might be really high, but if there's any percent, I think another value of DRTV, the testimonials that we have for this product, I couldn't even believe they were real. I'm like, are these actors? And I know there's an art to getting everyday people to be able to articulate the benefits of this product, but you can't watch the people in these testimonials that we have now on video and in the infomercial. A 5-star review on Amazon can't hold a candle to the power of real people talking about how this product is solving real problems in their lives.
Right.
And so to the point of, and that's not, if we were going to produce all the marketing assets, there's no way to do what Script to Screen did for us with those reviews on this product.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for joining us today with our interview with Bob. And you heard how a direct-to-consumer long-form campaign was the perfect vehicle for the CustMbite snoring relief system, and how that campaign made an immediate impact in all their sales channels. That's what a direct-to-consumer campaign can do right out of the gate.